How's it going, everyone? My name's Aidan. I'm here with American professional soccer player Mike Lansing, who currently plays for Aalesunds in the Norwegian top division. Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, absolutely. So during your time at Bucknell University in New York with the Red Bulls, when did the possibility of playing soccer overseas come about?
That was after my freshman year of college. My college coach was close with someone that had some connections in Denmark, and so I went over for a couple just experiences, just to train with some teams and see how it was and stuff. Um, and then I was offered a contract after my freshman year, but my parents really wanted me to finish school. So yeah, I finished college before going back over. But it was basically the link between my college coach and this guy named Michael, who's now actually currently my agent. He was the one that linked it up.
I see. The team that offered you the contract in your freshman year after your freshman year, was it the same one that you ended up signing for later, or no?
Yes, it was. So it all kind of came around.
So can you take me through the choosing process when you decided to sign for them? Did you know that it was going to be this team?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know at first. Through my spring semester, my senior year, I didn't know what was going to happen. We kind of had an idea that like I was going to go abroad and play after my senior year, but I didn't know what club it was going to be. So I think a week before I had to leave, my agent just messaged me saying like my bed was ready and get a flight over. So took a flight over, and he set up some trainings with Horsens, which was actually top tier at the time, and they wanted to sign me, but my agent told me that the contract was not good enough, and we were going to try and train with Viola, the team that I had originally trained with back in freshman year. So then one day I stopped going to Horsens trainings, and that was after like 3 weeks of training with them. And I just went to a Viola training, and the coach for Horsens was not happy. And I started training with Viola, and then, a week later, 2 weeks later, I signed with them. I guess they put a better contract on the table, and yeah.
Was it different going from playing in the United States and then playing in Europe? I mean, did you notice any key differences while you were playing in Europe?
Culture is a big difference. I think their technical ability is better. They enter the professional world at like, maybe 16, 17. And in the States, it's not like that. Most guys are going to school and going the college route, and you have a lot more things to focus on. And these guys, it's like they have school and stuff, but it's not as extensive, and they have a lot of time to focus on the football. So I think that the level is a bit higher here.
When you first came, so you were the only American playing on Viola, was that difficult for you? Did you adjust pretty well, or did you find some trouble with that?
It was an interesting situation I came into, because this club had a lot of international players. They had just gotten new owners, and the new owners had a new vision for the club, and they brought in a lot of players from all over the world. We had guys from 15 different countries. So, and this is not normal on other professional clubs within Scandinavia. I don't think any clubs have that amount of foreign players. So that was pretty interesting. It was interesting to adjust to a fully international club, whereas if I joined another club, it would have been predominantly Danish players, and they would be speaking Danish to each other, and you really have to butt in with English to be included in most conversations. But this was a club where everyone was speaking so many different languages, and there was a lot of different cliques, and I just kind of went with the flow, and I think I was closer to most of the guys that were from Denmark than the international players.
Got it. And I've always wondered, just with any professional sports team overseas with players from all over the world, during training, I mean, the coaches, what's the common language? Is it English? Do they need you to learn Danish, or what is it like there?
It's dependent on what the team is constructed of. If it's predominantly Danish players or predominantly Norwegian players, then it's going to be Danish or Norwegian. But if it's an international club like that, it was English.
Why do you think Viola had so many international players compared to the other teams in that league?
The owners had a vision about bringing players in that were undervalued and then selling them on for a lot of money. And for I think it was the first couple of years it worked really well, and then this past year they got relegated back to the second tier, so they're trying to go right back up. But yeah, it worked in the beginning, so we'll see if it continues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which coach or just any staff member had the most impact on you, whether it was in Denmark or before you came to Europe?
I wouldn't say that there's one in particular, but I would definitely say it was most of my youth career. Once you get to the professional world, I think most of the coaches are just a bit more stern and don't build that kind of a relationship with their players. But when I was younger, the coaches that I had really had a big effect on me. There was my junior varsity coach. He was the one that kind of kept me in football, because at the time I was choosing between baseball and football, and he was like, Mike, like, join the team, like, he just kind of pushed me to stay with it. And his name was Jared Drucker. He was also a Navy SEAL, I believe. It was either a SEAL or a Marine. So he was crazy with the trainings, but he really pushed me to stay with it. And then, from there, it kind of started just taking off. So I guess he was the one that really stuck with me. There was another one, Stuart Smith. But then all my high school coaches, all my college coaches, like, had big impacts on me. But then once it got to professional, then it was, yeah, you build like strong bonds, but you move on, and then it's kind of like they have new players to deal with, and new relationships to build. So it kind of just, it kind of gets moved to the past, I guess.
So would you credit that JV coach for you playing, not of course playing professional soccer, but for keeping you in the game? Do you think you would have maybe chosen otherwise without him?
I think so. There was like 3 or 4 other keepers that he could have had playing at the time, because the second varsity keeper, he would come down and play with us, or there was other guys that I thought were better than me, and the coach put me in, I would say, the majority of the games, and kind of kept me with it. And then I ended up playing on some travel soccer teams and stuff like that, and then that became PDA and Red Bulls and some bigger clubs. So yeah, it kind of started with that, because if not, I would have stuck with baseball, I think.
Wow, that's interesting to think about. That's wild.
Mm.
Obviously now playing in Norway, looking back on your time in Denmark, would you say there's a memory that sticks out more than the others?
I think each club has its own memories, but I think the biggest one, football wise, was probably playing at Brøndby Stadium. I think we had 17,000 there, and it was a lot of fun. They have a crazy fan base, and the whole time you can't hear yourself. And we ended up winning 2-1 away, so it was really something special. Yeah.
That's
So I
amazing.
think that was my favorite.
It's a beautiful stadium as well. I mean, obviously the atmospheres are so different in Europe than in the United States. Is there a stadium that you look forward to playing in the most? Was it Brøndby, or perhaps one that you maybe didn't look forward to playing into because it was so loud and difficult?
In Denmark, I would say it would either be Brøndby Stadium or Copenhagen Stadium. But I never got the chance to play in Copenhagen Stadium. I was always on the bench. So that was a bit of a shame. But Brøndby Stadium lived up to the hype, and yeah, maybe at the time I got spoiled, so I didn't want to play at some of the smaller club stadiums, but football is football, so wherever you play it is beautiful. So yeah, but like Brøndby Stadium, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I already played there, but I don't have that nervousness.
I assume is that the biggest one you played in?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine like what goes through your head when you walk, through the tunnel and onto the pitch. That's like,
that was surreal. And that was the first game you could have your defender flick up the ball with his foot and the keeper could catch it. I don't know if you remember that. There was 2 weeks where it was allowed that the defender could flick up the ball to the keeper.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, when was this?
2-3 years ago.
And it only lasted a couple weeks?
Only lasted a couple weeks. And I think our game was one of the benchmark games for like why they should get rid of it. Because every single goal kick we had, our defender would flick up the ball to me. I would like either catch the ball or let it hit me and then wait. And then the striker would have to come in and then I could pick it up and then I could go to the top of the box and punt the ball.
There you go. Wait, so could you pass it, or did it have to be a flick up?
It had to be a flick up in order for me to like catch the ball.
Right.
Or it had to hit me in the air.
Got it.
But if it didn't hit me in the air, then we would be in a little bit of trouble. Like the goal was behind me, and then also, I would have to try and clear the ball somehow. But my coach before that game said, like, this is what we're going to do on every goal kick. The whole stadium's going to hate you. And I was like, Jesus, like, what am I getting myself into? And then, as soon as we start doing it, the whole stadium just starts booing. And I don't know, I just had like a smile. It was fun.
And after playing in Denmark, multiple seasons, few different clubs, what inspired your decision to leave and go to Norway?
It wasn't necessarily what inspired me to move to Norway. It was like what was available. Because as a goalkeeper, there's one position on the pitch, and sometimes you need to move around to find an opening. And at the time they were very keen on me to come, and they were looking at me as a number one, and there was a very good keeper here already, Andy, and he ended up retiring this year. But he was when I came, I was like, why did they bring me? Because he was top, and they had another keeper that was also training well, and I was quite confused. But it was mostly because, this was a club that was viewing me as a one, and like they had ambitions, and it just became very attractive.
And, you obviously haven't been playing for Norway for very long, but you've already experienced the promotion, which has to be one of the best feelings in the world. I mean, can you describe what that was like?
The whole process was fantastic, but actually the day that we promoted was actually quite a tough game, and we ended up winning 4-2, but we were down, we were losing at one point, and I thought I could have done better on both of the goals. One was a free kick that I got a hand to, and then the other one was a through ball that was like a 50-50 whether I should go or not. And so during the game, like, these are my thoughts. I'm focused on that game, not really the idea of, we just played 30 games and promoted, and this is a celebration of everything we did this year. It was like, I could have done better on those goals, so, but that's, the way I was thinking. And I wish I enjoyed that day a bit more, but I still felt a bit of the weight of those goals. So, but the whole thing, it was fantastic. It was unbelievable. It was the best year that I've had in professional football for sure. The whole year we had a lot of breaks because there was a lot of international breaks. So every international break we would go on a trip, go on a fishing adventure, or go hiking or camping, or like we did everything. And the promotion itself, there was a lot of partying after, and yeah, we were on top of the world. It was fantastic.
What was the best spot to go hiking or fishing?
All of this whole west coast on in Norway is fantastic, but I think so far there's a place called Sandoy. It's a small island, maybe 2-3 hours from here. We've caught a lot of fish there, so it's a good time.
After being in Europe, practically your whole career so far, have you considered trying to play in the MLS, the USL eventually?
I've considered the MLS, and I know that the USL is growing, but I think I've really only considered MLS. I kind of made not a promise to myself, but I said to myself that I would try and take football as far as I can in Europe before returning. And I'm sticking to that. But of course, if there's a good opportunity in the MLS, I would always consider it. But I think I would want to go top league if I go back.
I see. That makes sense. So rules out the USL and MLS. Okay, got it. There's only a handful of Americans that end up making it into Europe. Do you feel like you act as a stepping stone to other Americans who look to play outside of the United States?
I wouldn't say that. Because I don't view myself as making it. I'm in the process. I'm not. And it's a long process. It's not like a overnight thing. And I've spent some years on the bench, and it's not an easy job. But there's a lot to experience when you do this. And I think that there's a lot that people can gain when they do step out of their comfort zone and move to another country, and move out of the US, where people don't predominantly speak the language, and you kind of have to adjust to the culture and everything like that. I think obviously, like, the bigger Americans that have really made it, they are the stepping stones, I think. But I don't want to say I'm a stepping stone, though. I don't think I've done enough yet to be considered that, but in the process.
Of course. And then just last question here. I mean, what advice would you give to young American players who are somewhat apprehensive about playing abroad?
Do it. I have no regrets about doing it. Of course, it's very difficult in the beginning if you're close with your family, and I think that's the toughest part, is being away from family and friends. That's a sacrifice you have to make to have this life, but definitely do it. You can always go back, but this opportunity is not always going to be there. So if you have the opportunity, try and do it. There's so much growth that comes from it. You mature very quickly, and you're kind of thrown into the fire. And it's a fantastic experience. You get to meet so many people and from different countries, and get to build relationships with many different people. And then also you get to play football, where it's the number one sport. This is what people eat and breathe. So what better place to do it?
Well, for those of you that want to follow in Mike's footsteps, there's some advice from the man himself. Mike, thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it a lot.
No problem.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the interview. This was Mike Lansing. Thanks for watching.